Hey guys, welcome to this video. This is going to be a real-time drawing process video for the cover of my new horror mini comic called Too Much on Your Plate. If you've been watching the vlogs, you know that I've been working on this for the last month or so. So I wanted to do a longer kind of video, longer format video of me creating that, but also I wanted to also add in the Q&A questions that I had been collecting for the past 2 weeks. So I'm going to do that probably towards the end of the video, but not towards the end, but later on in the video, because this video is fairly long. I wanted to talk about the sketching process at first, but before I do all that, this is going to be a very long video. It's going to be quite chatty, and I remember doing a lot of these earlier on in my YouTube channel. I did a lot of real-time videos with commentary, but I stopped doing those for a while just because I've run out of things to talk about, and I feel like I had been repeating myself over and over. So I took a break from those, but I feel like this is a really appropriate time to do one because I have good content. Well, I feel like I have good content to kind of have it in the background and talk about it. Anyway, I also wanted to say that it's going to be really chill, really casual, very unscripted. So if I say a lot of ums, I'm really sorry. I don't really script my videos, and I just sat down to do this. It's a Thursday morning, 11:43 a.m. so I have a cup of coffee ready, so you can put this on while you're painting or drawing or cleaning or doing some crafts. Whatever you're doing, it'll be a nice time to just put this on in the background. Okay, with that out of the way, again, I'm going to talk about the sketching process that I have filmed for you here. I have basically put everything of the sketching process. It's pretty uncut. It's a lot. Most of it is in here, and it's very messy, as you can see. When I am laying down really rough ideas, I like using this pad of line paper that I get. I got these from work. We have a bunch of them, so I grabbed one, and I like to do a lot of my thumbnailing and my sketching ideas on loose line paper like this one because I feel like it saves my printer paper, and it's also not a sketchbook, so I can rip out pages whenever I want to, because I go through a lot of paper when I'm sketching stuff out. I draw something, I trace over it like I'm doing right now with my light box. When I trace over things, I try and grab the idea that I want, so I don't erase constantly, which some can say is a waste of paper. Why can't I just do some erasing? Erasing kind of cuts my flow, so with sketching over things, I just grab the stuff that I want from the previous sketch. In this case, as you can see, I am grabbing that triangle. It's actually like a dinner bell, like, you know, those in classic cartoons when it's dinner time and they ring that little triangle bell for dinner or for supper. That's what it is, and it's relevant in the comic, so you have to read it to understand why I used it as a component in the covers. Yeah, so I'm pulling that out of the sketch. And earlier on in the video too, you probably saw other sketches that I didn't include in this process. I had actually drawn those the night before, and so I wasn't able to film them, but I'll show them to you on the screen at some point. One of them, my idea, it came to me at night, so I really wanted to put it down before I forgot and went to bed. But the first idea, or the first couple of ideas, were a head on a plate and a knife cutting off slices of it like a ham. So that was the idea I had. I didn't really end up with that. I thought I would, but I just thought about it a little bit more, and it looked too similar to a comic cover from an artist that I follow, so I didn't really want to do that. It's totally different context, but I feel like the composition is too similar. It is actually a cover for a story in the anthology that I'm working in called Shades of Fear. I think it's I don't remember the title offhand, but yeah, it was way too similar. I'll put an image of it and of the artist's name so you can see it, and you can also check out Shades of Fear if you're interested in seeing another of my comics that I'm currently working on, and it's in progress. It'll be in that anthology called Shades of Fear, and my story is called Turtleneck. But yeah, I felt like it was too similar, so I went with a different idea. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm continuing sketching this idea, and yeah, still on my line paper. What was the other thing I wanted to mention in the sketching of ideas? I forget already. yeah, I was also trying to think of layouts for the text, because the title is really important when I'm doing the covers. Sometimes I forget in my earlier comics, I forget the importance of the title and how it's laid out on the page, because both the image and the title really catch an eye. So I really had to kind of think about that and make sure I wasn't forgetting about it when I was doing these images for the cover. So I made sure I wrote it down, so I know that it's a lot of words and I needed to fit them in a way that made sense. When I decided to film the process for sketching out the covers, I thought the cover that I would end up with would be more exciting, more complicated, more complex. But else you'll see, I've shown this on social media already, the final cover, but you'll know that the covers are not very complicated. They ended up quite simple, very graphic, very clean. I had this image in my head of it being, like I said, complex, but it ended up being more simple. And I think whenever I sit down to do a cover for my comic, it always ends up being more graphic and more simple, which is I think it's a good thing, because I feel like a simple cover that's well composed catches an eye more than a complicated cover. A complicated cover is really great because it will also catch someone's eye if they want to just like look at the details. That's the pro about it. But the con about a complicated cover, in my opinion, is when I'm thinking about conventions, or doing that. In a convention, you just get a lot of images in your head or in your eyes. Like, you're seeing a lot of things on people's tables, and something that catches your eye is something a little bit more kind of saturated. It kind of pops out more, and I feel like a simple cover will do that more. So at the end of the video, you'll see that the title really pops out, I feel like, in the cover that I ended up with the image. So I tend to go towards simple covers, I guess is what I'm saying. Here, and now I'm working on a different idea. I had that idea of the character like swinging on that dinner bell or that triangle, which I really liked, but I also had a different idea of the character, or some character, with a plate in front of their face, kind of hiding their face and like holding the plate right in front of their face. In this sketch, I'm actually looking at an image on Google. I just typed in plate in front of face, and I found a really good image with a really nice hand that I can reference from, because the hand gesture holding that plate like that is quite complicated, so I needed a reference for that, and also a reference of how the neck and the shoulders will fall when holding the plate like that. I didn't really want to do it blindly because it would look weird, so I made sure I had a reference in front of me. I'll try and dig up the reference and put it on the screen if you'd like to see that. I need to remember all these things that I say I'm going to put on the screen, so I'll make sure to remember this time. I really liked this idea of just the plate in front of her face, but I also wanted to show a full body. I wanted to show the full body mostly because when I was doing this comic, I enjoyed drawing the character's full body a lot. It was fun, and she's pretty tall in the comic, and it's kind of lanky, and I like drawing lanky people, I guess. So I really wanted to showcase that. So you'll see me minimize this illustration and put their body in at some point, and then that's what happens. It just ended up being a simple, very graphic idea, but done in watercolors, like you'll see as well. I included the watercoloring process, and I also included the process on Photoshop where I'm editing the pages together. And so yeah, I guess that's really all I wanted to talk about in the sketching process. Another thing, I guess, is I've finally run out of those 90s pencils that I love to use, the push pencils. I don't want to buy anymore. I know they're available on Amazon and other stores, but just the little plastic nibs for all the lead is just too wasteful to me. And even though I enjoy using these pencils, the push pencils from the 90s, because they're, one, nostalgic, and also really easy to work with, because if I need a sharper point, I just push another pencil in. It's just a little bit too wasteful for me in terms of the amount of plastic that's in them. So had to say goodbye to that favorite tool of mine. I really liked it because the graphite is so cheap that it's not too when you draw on the page, it's not hard to erase. That's why I like it. So I'm just using this lead pencil, or this HB pencil that I found somewhere in my drawers. So that's what I'm going to be using for a while. I really don't care about the types of stuff that I use for sketching, pencils, markers, whatever. I just need to lay a line down, or something down. So I don't really care about the type of pencil that I use, although I feel like I like using pencils like this more than mechanical pencils. I find that all the mechanical pencils I use just break constantly because of the amount of strokes I use. I don't know, maybe I just bought some really horrible mechanical pencils. But yeah, so here now I'm working on making the full body illustration, and you'll see that. So yeah, and I did pull out the idea of the character on top, swinging on that triangle too, and I decided that would be the back cover. So 2 simple images for this wrap cover. Right, so I think we can move on to doing the Q&A. So in the last couple of vlogs, I had asked people to give me some questions, art related or personal, whatever. So they're on the community tab, and I'm going to answer the ones that I've received up to this point. And so let's do that Q&A. Okay, first question is from Change the Stars, and if I butcher any of your guys' screen names, really sorry about that. So Change the Stars asks, what made you want to do a sticker book? Well, I love stickers, first and foremost. I really love stickers ever since I was a kid. I remember buying stationery or people buying me stationery, and I would love stickers. I love stickers and stationery a lot. I even remember now when I was a kid in the Philippines, we would get these like little sets of stationery, like Hello Kitty, or what was that character? It looked like Hello Kitty, but it was a bunny. It had like a pink ears. But we would get like stationery sets, and they rarely had stickers, but if they did, I was so excited. So yeah, first and foremost, I love stickers. And since I got my Cricut, and even before then, I had been making sticker designs. So I have a bunch of sticker designs just collected, and I really love looking at them whenever I'm going through my hard drive. I'm just like, man, I wish I could reprint these stickers because they're really fun, and I could sell them on my store or at conventions. And because I had this stack of just older sticker designs that I really love, I wanted to make them into a book. I even thought about making them into a book myself, like my own sticker book made from home. But because my Cricut is just very, I have a love and hate relationship with it, and it's very finicky. I have to calibrate it every time, and even if it calibrates, it doesn't cut perfectly. For the first year and a half, the Cricut was working amazing. It was cutting perfectly and just straight, but after a year and a half, it just started like being really hard to work with. So I couldn't do that myself. So I decided to look for different companies that would do sticker books, because I saw that on Alibaba there are manufacturers that make sticker books and notebooks and stuff. So I found the highest reviewed sticker book maker on there, and I contacted them, and they were really, really snappy and responsive. So that just really helped fuel it. I did contact other manufacturers in making a sticker book, but they weren't as fast in response rate as that manufacturer that I first contacted. So if I had contacted the other manufacturers first, it probably would not have happened, because they weren't responsive, and I would have maybe been like, I don't know, I don't trust the process. So anyway, I wanted to do a sticker book because I enjoy all the sticker designs that I have in my hard drive in the past, that I've made for patrons in the past too, and I just wanted to create a collection. And technically it's like a book, it's like an art book, but it's stickers. So that's why I wanted to make a sticker book. It's like an art book, but for my sticker designs. And I'm going to be shipping them soon, hopefully. I'm just trying to get through the crunch of this creation of this comic, 2 comics, Shades of Fear and this one, and I have a convention coming up in May. and one in June. So by the time I'm done the convention in May, hopefully I can ship out these sticker books because they're ready to be shipped. They're all packaged, not all of them, but most of them. So the pre-orders hopefully will get out very soon. But anyway, change the stars. Thank you for that question, and I hope that I answered it. All right, next question is from Miss Nifty C. When you were very young, what did you want to be when you grew up? Also, what is your favorite book? All right, the first question is, when you were very young, what did you want to be when you grew up? I don't know. Well, you know, as a kid, when you're playing with your dolls and stuff, I remember being like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to play with this like teddy bear and be a doctor or a teacher. Those were the two things that I remember being like, oh, I could play and be a doctor or a teacher. It wasn't really like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a teacher. And I never really thought about it until I guess until I was in grade 8, because that's when we started picking courses for high school, where it's like, okay, if you have to decide what course route you want to take in order to become something towards the end there. But when I was very young, I guess in grade 8, I never really thought about art becoming my career, because I didn't understand what you could be as an artist other than a painter. And at grade 8, I already knew like it's hard to make money as a painter, because it just didn't make sense to me. I just never understood it. We weren't really taught about these jobs. It was always just like, you can be a doctor or business person, but never something like a freelance artist. Hopefully kids nowadays are being taught differently and being like, hey, if you want to, use your talent and make it into a career, we'll help you in that way. But never really thought about it, and I can't even think about it right now. I feel like I only decided what I wanted to be like in university. I decided I just wanted to work somewhere comfortable, and somewhere comfortable for me was working in administration. So I don't think that really answers your question, but I just wanted to work somewhere that wasn't too difficult. That was a hard question, actually. Also, what is your favorite book is the next question. I haven't been reading anything since university. Since high school. High school, I had a lot of time to read, and so I guess I will pick a book from high school or elementary that I really enjoyed. My favorite book is I can't remember. It's a series of books by Gerald Morris about knights. So let me actually look up the title of these books, because they are my favorite. It's actually not a series of books. They are separate books by Gerald Morris. He's an American author, and a lot of his books were based around the Middle Ages, so like around King Arthur. I guess it's on Wikipedia. It says the books are collectively called the Squire's Tales, and there are a lot of Arthurian myths, so Sir Gawain and the Knight, and like Lancelot and stuff. And so I read a lot of these books. I remember going to the library, and after I read the Squire's Tales, I picked a lot of the other books from him. So those are my favorite books by Gerald Morris, especially. Oh, here, the Squire's Tales. So the Squire's Tale, the Squire, his Knight, and his Lady, the Savage Damsel and the Dwarf, Parsifal's Page, the Ballad of Sir Dinadan. So there's a bunch of these, and I really enjoyed them, and so I guess those are my favorite books, even though you asked me one, but they're kind of a collection of those. So yeah, that was my favorite book when in elementary, and because I didn't really read much in high school, I read a lot. I read less in high school, read a lot in elementary school, so I remember a lot of the teen books like Artemis Fowl and what's the one with the bat? Batwing? Sunwing? Yeah, Sunwing, Silverwing. Oh, those books are so good. Those books are really amazing. Yeah, okay, so that's my favorite book. Yeah. Next question is from Peppy Art. How hot does summer get in Canada? it gets really hot. It reaches up to probably 40 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but we get like heat wave warnings because it gets really hot in Canada. But it doesn't last for very long. It'll get really hot for maybe like probably 2 weeks to a month. It is just more amplified in my house because we don't have AC in our house, so it gets really, really hot, and the only place you can be safe is the basement. But yeah, it reaches up to about 40 plus degrees Celsius here when in summer in Canada. Next question is again by Peppy Art. Do you plan on buying a house in the near future? If so, would you buy a pet? So we did buy a house. We bought this house in 2019, which was really good timing, I feel like, because it was a year before the, this whole thing is happening. It's still happening now. But we bought this beautiful house in 2019, and it's perfect for both of us. And if so, would you buy a pet? I don't know. I love animals, but my boyfriend is not really into getting a pet just because of the amount of work that goes into taking care of a pet. They're like children, so I would like it, but I also would love him to be on board with having a pet so both of us can work with it. But if he said if I wanted to get one, I'd probably get one, but I wanted him to be on board. So I don't think we'll be getting a pet soon unless his mind changes. But I wouldn't mind getting like a medium-sized dog or a cat. We had a guest cat here a few years ago, and that was actually really distracting. That was the first time I had like a cat for a while in the house, not just a visit, but like I think it was a week they were with us. The cat was with us, and I was just distracted every time I was trying to work because she was so cute. So I just had to like hug her and kiss her and play with her because she was so distracting, and she was such a sweet cat. She really wanted attention. So I don't know, if I do get a cat, I'd probably need a cat that was like aloof and not playful, because I would just never get anything done. Next question again is by Peppy Art. Have you watched Train to Busan? Do you like horror films over thrillers? I did watch Train to Busan, which is an awesome South Korean movie, which I heard they're trying to remake the American version for, which is ridiculous. Just watch the original one. It's great. I did watch it and I did enjoy it. Do you like horror films over thrillers? I like horror films over thrillers, yes, but I do like horror thriller films. Would you count The Descent as a horror thriller? I think so. It's like an adventure. It's a survival horror, I think. It's from what I heard. But yes, I do like horror films over thrillers. If it's a thriller with horror elements or just like a horror thriller, then that's great. But yeah, horror films over thrillers is my jam. And the last question from Peppy Art. If you could only eat one hot dish for the rest of your life, all other food/meals will be permanently cold, what would you choose? Huh? What? That is so difficult because I love eating everything. Anyway, so one hot dish. I assume like a hot dish because the other foods and meals will be cold. I actually don't mind eating cold dishes if it's safe to do. So I like eating cold pizza. I like any leftovers. Usually I just pull them out of the fridge and I eat them, so I don't really mind. So but one hot dish for the rest of my life. I guess like a good soup or a good stew, because those are meant to be eaten hot. Yeah, like a good soup. If I had to pick one soup off the top of my head, it would be miso soup. That has to be a hot dish. And if it's cold, it's okay, but it's really nice hot because it keeps your body warm. It makes your stomach feel nice and warm. So probably miso soup. For the rest of my life, I'd like it hot. And all other things, I don't really care if they're cold. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Peppy. And thank you so much for all the questions. They were really fun. Next question is from Cheryl Burchard. And she asks, what YouTube channels do you watch? Well, I have my phone in front of me right now, so let us look through the stuff that I watch. I don't watch a lot of studio vlogs just because I find that they are very intimidating and I can't help but compare myself to them if I watch them, so I avoid a lot of studio vlogs. Like, I know they exist, like I know studio vlogs from Catnips exist, and Lay Elixon and Fran, all those really awesome YouTubers, but I avoid them. I watch them like from time to time if I don't feel too intimidated, but yeah, I don't watch a lot of studio vlogs. So I watch a lot of, like, I watch Good Mythical Morning. I watch a channel that I recently found called Kelgore. She does a lot of sarcastic videos. I watch what's this? I have a lot of well, not a lot, but I have one food channel, Mangchi. She does like Korean dishes, and she's really cute. She always has a fun headdress whenever she's cooking. I watch a lot of Germa. We watch a lot of Germa videos. Germa985 is a game, like a Twitch streamer, but a lot of his videos are edited into short clips and like highlights, but also they upload his full stream, so we watch those a lot. Especially recently we've been watching his Elden Ring streams. But way back when, he was actually a YouTuber, and he did a lot of edited gaming videos, which are hilarious. And he stopped doing that because, you know, YouTube is YouTube. But anyway, Germa, I watch a channel called Hochelaga, who does a lot of like religious content, just like about religion and religious art. Really interesting, great edited videos. Yes, let's see who else here. I watch Kimi. She is a Korean, well, American Korean mukbanger. She used to do a lot of mukbangs, but now she's doing like camp vlogs. She still does mukbangs, but I love watching her videos because she edits them really nicely. She includes a lot of like food that she cooks, and her camping vlogs have been really fun to watch. Yeah, so she's great. I've been watching her for years. I also like the way she eats because she eats so like cute and clean. And then I watch one family vlogger who I've been watching for years. I watch It's Judy's Life. I really enjoy their content, even though filming kids is something of a problem nowadays. It's kind of cringy, or not cringy, but it's problematic. But I've been watching them for years, since I was in university, so it's kind of hard to unfollow them because I've been with them for a while. So I watch her. I watch Matt Stoney. There's Matt Stoney. And Dancing Bacons is like a food channel. They try a lot of different foods from convenience stores, but also like they go to food festivals when they were still open, so I watch a lot of their videos too. And I watch another gaming person called Varg Skeletor. And in terms of art videos, again, I don't watch too much just because I try to avoid that, you know, like comparison thing. But I really have been enjoying watching videos from I'm a Wonder, because she has a lot of long videos, and that's why I was inspired to kind of make this longer real-time video with Q&A and a bunch of talking, because when I was painting, I just went to her videos a lot, and I just enjoyed like listening to her talk and stuff while I work. She was talking about her art, and she does a lot of Q&A videos, or past ones, so I was inspired by her to create this. So I've been watching her a lot lately. I watch Doodle Date. I watch some Bailey J, just because these channels I have been following since before, like for a while, like even before, like during the time I was doing a lot of YouTube. I was exposed to these different art channels, so I check in on them from time to time. But yeah, those are the YouTube channels that I watch and visit from time to time. So thank you for your question, Cheryl. And the next question is from Gabrielle. Gabrielle asks, one of your favorite artists / illustrator here on YouTube. Kind of goes off of the last question. I don't really follow too much artists on YouTube, and I can't really think of any that is my favorite, just because I don't really watch a lot of their YouTube stuff to help with my like brain space. But if you're asking about a favorite illustrator, maybe that I can talk about, that I follow on Instagram or other social media, it would probably be Carrascoet. I don't know if that's it's like a duo name, but they are the creators of the comic or graphic novels Satani, Beauty, and Beautiful Darkness, I believe. So I really enjoy looking at their social media feeds. I hope that kind of answers your question, because I can't really think of a favorite artist or illustrator on YouTube other than the so I guess the previous question by Cheryl sort of helps. And another question from Gabrielle: what's your go-to snack when you're watching a movie or something? Chips. I love chips. I don't do it very often because it's very unhealthy and I'll eat the whole bag, but my favorite snack to eat while watching something is a bag of chips. And my favorite flavor, my two favorite flavors, but right now I've been really enjoying sour cream and onion Ruffles chip. I call that the demon chip because if I have one, I will eat it all like a demon. And yeah, and also Doritos, but lately I've been really into the demon chip. And next question is by Gabrielle: horror movie that really, really scared you or at least made you uncomfy? The last movie I can think of that made me uncomfy, it didn't really make me uncomfy. I don't think any movie I've seen, horror movie, has made me uncomfy. It just made me kind of think about it after watching it, and that made me uncomfy. But watching it right on the screen did not make me uncomfy. It's only afterwards where you kind of think about it and really really scared by it. Is The Medium. It's a recent movie. I believe it's either a Thai or an Indonesian movie, but yeah, The Medium. I remember watching it. When I was watching it, I wasn't too scared. I was like, this is ridiculous. All the stuff that's happening is so crazy and so violent. And then, like, at night, going to bed, I just couldn't stop thinking of the face of the girl when she's like coming out of the shadows. Very scary. I don't really want to see that again. But I'll probably revisit that scene like maybe a year later. I like to do that. I did that with, what's that called? The movie called The Wailing, which is the same director. I remember one scene in The Wailing where I saw it and I was like, yeah, okay, that was kind of scary. And then at night when I was going to bed, I couldn't stop thinking of this guy's face. It was the devil guy. Oh, his face was so scary. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It really scared me. And that happened again with The Medium, the girl's face coming out of the shadows. Oh, I had to work on that and make it not scary. I'd be like, put a scary, she has a scary face, put a silly hat on her when you imagine her. That's what I did when I watched The Ring when I was in grade 6. I was so scared to go to the washroom, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna imagine her with a silly flower hat or like a summer hat, and that helped because I would imagine her in front of the mirror with her like hair. And then I just put a hat on her when I think about her so I don't get as scared. And yeah, Gabrielle, that the answer to your question is The Medium, but I'm over it now, so it's all good. And another question by Gabrielle: cats or dogs? I like both. I would love to have both animals as pets. I love both. They are both cute and amazing, and just, we do not deserve them. So cats and dogs. Next question is from Blue, and Blue asks, what is your process of taking a more surreal or abstract concepts and turning them into a more grounded story for your comics? Oh, also, are you okay with people doing fan art of your characters? I'll answer the less difficult question. Are you okay with people doing fan art of your characters? Yeah, totally fine. If you show it to me, I'd be even happier. If you credit me, I'd be even happier. Tag me in it. But I'm really cool with you doing fan art of my characters, even though I'm trying to think of fan art you could do and what characters you do fan art of. I guess Kevin the cat could be one. But yeah, totally fine with that as long as you credit me or tag me in it, because I'd really like to see it. All right, so the next one is, what is the previous question is, what is your process of taking a more surreal or abstract concepts and turning them into a more grounded story for your comics? Okay, well, I feel like a lot of the stories that I come up with my horror short comics are pretty grounded. I don't do a lot of like, I'm trying to describe it. Concepts that are too surreal, just like, I'm trying to think of like maybe, I don't know, somebody having visions of an alien in outer space, but not totally visions, just I'm trying to describe it. I'm trying to describe a surreal thing or abstract concept. I guess an abstract concept would be like guilt or something like that, or shame, guilt and shame and stuff like that. It's harder to portray that in a comic. But like I said, again, a lot of my stories I feel like are very grounded. So let's see. I don't know. I guess I do have some surreal and abstract concepts in my comic, but the way I portray them would be in the imagery that I draw. Oh my god, I'm butchering this question or this answer. It's the imagery that I draw in these comics, I guess, that really helps me solidify the idea of the abstract concept. So I can think of my comic Exodus. I don't know, I think I have it on my website, and it's a very old comic, one of my firsts. But in that comic, I was trying to portray somebody who was extremely stressed out. She was so stressed out about her life and just annoyed by everything that she created a toxic environment in her own body, and all her organs were like, fuck this, I'm leaving, and they left. So I guess that's kind of grounded, but also trying to portray the idea that if you create a toxic environment for yourself or your body and just don't treat your body well, like, your organs want to leave because it sucks in there. So yeah, I guess I would take that abstract concept and surreal idea and manipulate it in a way that is grounded or makes sense. So even though it kind of is silly, like the organs leaving her body because it sucks in there and she's not doing anything about it. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. But taking the abstract concepts and the surreal ideas and manipulating it in a way that makes sense and is grounded and has imagery that you can actually use, instead of, I don't like having abstract or surreal concepts and just doing like a bunch of kind of, if you're thinking about like in a movie or something. I've watched a lot of horror movies that are trying to portray surreal or abstract concepts, but what they do is they just do a lot of like fun editing, those montages of just like creepy images, just a bunch of like quick edits of like, I don't know, someone pulling their nail off, or someone falling, or someone ripping their hair out, and just really creepy images edited into a montage that's trying to portray fear, guilt. I don't like that. I mean, if you do it, and if some people do it and it works really well, then that's amazing. But a lot of the times I feel like it's a cop-out, because they're not trying to create something that you can, a reader or a viewer can understand easily. Because it's just kind of like, here it is, it's creepy because this. So yeah, thank you, Boo, for that question. Next question is from Charity C, and the question is, what's the scariest movie you've seen and why? By the way, love your videos. Thank you so much, Charity. So I think I kind of answered this already, but one of the scariest movies I've seen lately or recently is The Medium, but it's in a way where it's not scary when I watch it. It's only scary afterwards when I kind of think back to it, which I think is a good measure of what is a scary movie. It's something that festers in your mind afterwards, and you think about it and you're afraid to be in the dark because you remember scenes from that movie, or it just makes you think about stuff. Another example would be the movie by, I think it's Robert Eggers, called The Witch. And when I watched that movie, I thought about it a lot afterwards, and how visceral it was. It was such a great movie because, again, it makes you think of these like concepts. And so yeah, so the scariest movie lately that I saw was The Medium, just because I got scared after, but I'm over it now. Like I said, I'm not scared anymore. Thank you, Charity, for that question. Next question is from Cosmic Gaijin. Have you ever listened to Voltaire? I feel like you like his music. And also, how did you get into horror? Was it accidental or something you were always interested in? Thank you for the question, first of all. I've never listened to Voltaire. I guess I'll look them up afterwards. If maybe I have heard of them before, but nope, I have not listened to Voltaire, so I'll look him up. Thank you. And how did you get into horror? Was it accidental? or something you've always been interested in? Well, it's kind of both, I guess. I remember being such a scaredy cat with horror movies in high school. So it wasn't like I really didn't go for it. I was too scared because of, you know, my experience with watching The Ring in grade 6. I was kind of off of horror movies from that point onward. It was too much for me. And then when I got into like early university, I was getting into, I think that's when I started reading a lot of Junji Ito comic books or Junji Ito books, and I really enjoyed his art style, and I liked the creepiness of them, and it made me think again. I thought about it a lot after reading a lot of the books, and I was like, I really kind of like this, so I'm going to look into watching horror movies now. So that's when I started watching a lot of horror movies, and I was actually not afraid of them. A lot of the horror movies I watched, I was just like, this is not scary at all. Some of them I watched and I was like, you know, it's not scary, but it's kind of like, you know, really interesting. So that's how I got into horror. I read, you know, Junji Ito, and I decided to explore more media in horror, such as movies and stories. I even read some, you know, books about horror books. Yeah, that's how I got into it. So kind of accidental because I read Junji Ito. Yeah, thank you for the question. Next question is from Jem. And Jem asks, did you have any original characters growing up? Jem has a bunch of questions, by the way. So the first one is, did you have any original characters growing up? Nope, I did not. I wasn't really into creating original characters, I guess because I felt like I couldn't really create, you know, intricate backstories around them. I feel like my imagination is really lacking in that. And my boyfriend plays D&D, and he does a lot of, you know, character creation, and he talks about his characters and their motivations and stuff. And I'm like, why can't I can't do that? And a lot of my stories are like that as well. They're very one shot. I don't do a lot of backstory. So I feel like you need a lot of, you know, intricate or at least more nurtured backstory for an OC. And I just never really got into that. So no, I did not have any original characters growing up. Next question. Did you go through any typical teen phases like emo or goth? No. I'm the firstborn. I'm the eldest out of, you know, 3 siblings. And I've kind of always been a goody two-shoes. I've just always, you know, did what my parents wanted me to do, and I had good grades for the most part. I did my homework. I did everything that you were supposed to do. So I was pretty lame, kind of boring. I did have, I guess you would call an emo phase with music, but I never really dressed emo or goth. I really liked My Chemical Romance a lot, and I listened to a lot of them. But no, I didn't really have a typical teen phase. I was very, very cut and dry, goody two-shoes girl. So, yeah. Next question, also if you're comfortable with questions like this, when and how did you meet your boyfriend? How did you and your boyfriend meet? How long has it been since then? Yeah, I don't mind answering that, and I don't think he minds it either, but because I'm not really gonna tell too much detail, but we met in university. We had a course together where we had to go into groups. So there was me, another girl in our class, and him, and we were in a group and we worked together in that group, and we got to know each other there. And this was back in 2011, I believe. So I guess we've been together for over 10 years now. And yeah, that's how we met. We met in school at a science class. We were working on an experiment on animal behavior on crickets. So we had a lot of time to kind of talk over email and just group meetings while we were, you know, having crickets being experimented on. Don't worry, we didn't hurt them. We just needed to do an experiment on like starvation, which just sounds really mean, but we made them a bit hungry, and then we wanted to see if they would take more risks for food because they were hungry, and so that was the thesis. But yeah, we met in class in 2011, so it has been more than 10 years and we still put up with each other. Thank you, Jem, for that question, and thank you so much for watching my vlogs. Next question is from Roaming. Do you watch anime? If so, what are some of your favorites? Love watching your videos. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I do not watch anime because there is too much content for me to keep up with, and I would go crazy. But as a kid, I watched a lot of Dragon Ball. I watched Dragon Ball. I watched Cardcaptor Sakura, Inuyasha, and then there was a drought after that, and then I started watching Avatar, which I don't think is an anime, but I don't really watch anime. But my favorites were Cardcaptor Sakura, Inuyasha, and what was that one? Dragon Ball. I watched Dragon Ball a lot with my brothers when we were younger. So yeah, thank you for the question, Roaming. Next question from It's Just Amy. If it's not too personal, how did you and your boyfriend meet and who asked you out? You guys are really curious about this. Can you give us the story? Also, what's one superpower would you want? What's one superpower would not want to have? Okay. So first question again is how my boyfriend and I met. Yeah, we met in school, and he was the one who asked me out. He asked me out for a coffee, and then from there we started talking. And that's pretty much it. We started talking. I was living in beside my school at that time, so we watched a lot of movies together. We ate a lot together, like ate out. We explored different restaurants. Yeah, we met in school in 2011, and yeah, he asked me out. So that's the story, and it's pretty typical from then on. Also, what's one superpower you would not want to have? What's one superpower I would not want to have? I probably would not want to have super strength, I guess, because I feel like I can only use that in certain, heroic situations, like lifting a building or something. So I won't be able to use it too much. I wouldn't want to have the superpower of strength. I'd rather have, teleportation or like speed, but not super strength. I would also not want to have the ability to turn into like a lampshade, so that would suck too. But yeah, super strength is like my least favorite superpower. So thank you, It's Just Amy, for the questions. And the last question I have here is from Mark Stingray Pasta. Are you going to continue reading your younger self's diary? Yes, actually. I know I got another comment from somebody about me restarting that. I'll try and remember to do that for the next vlog, because it seems like you guys are interested in reading it. I honestly find my entries kind of just boring, but I've already gotten 2 requests to restart that, so I will do so in the next vlog. I will try and remember, and if I don't remember, just remind me in the comments and I will do that. So yeah, thank you, Mark Stingray Pasta, for the question. Well, we have reached the end of the Q&A section. That was all the questions I received. Thank you guys so much for leaving those. They were really fun to answer. I'm going to put another community tab post asking for more questions for next time. So go ahead and put those on there. I'll leave a link down below if I remember to create the tab, but if I have not created it yet, just wait for that. I'll get rid of the old one so people don't ask on there, so I can have all the questions in one like community post that I can go back to. But thank you guys so much for the questions. I hope you enjoyed that section, and it's just in time for me to kind of finish up this this video, because we are going towards the end of the coloring stage of this. So yeah, as you can see, very, very simple images. I ended up with really, really simple images for the front and back covers, and I think I really like it. So I just did a regular watercolor process for this. I used my Sakura Koi Watercolors and the Deserres mixed media paper, which I have been enjoying working on. And for the pages, for the covers, I just made sure I had enough bleed around the image, so when I edit it into Photoshop, I'll have a lot of leeway in terms of putting it together and merging the 2 pages together into a front and a back, which you'll see later on. I added the speed paint process of that, creating that into the book, and then I'll show you how the pages or how the cover looks folded. And then hopefully the interior pages will be done soon. I'll have to do a lot of editing, and then I can staple it together and it will be the final product, which you'll see in the vlogs. Yeah, really simple watercoloring. I feel like I still have a little bit of regret in terms of just the simplicity of how the cover turned out. I was hoping to do, like I said, a more complicated cover, but this is what I ended up with, and I'm still happy with it. Maybe next time, if it works out, I will do a more complex cover, but I guess I just tend to do the more simple ones. I am doing a last, wash for this to create to make the image in the middle pop out. But you'll notice the watercolor dries really light with this paper, and I'm not totally sure why that is. I guess it's so absorbent, or I'm just really actually doing a light wash. Not totally sure on the science on it, but it just helps me do a lot of more layers with this paper, which is fine with me. But yeah, it does dry really, really light. So yeah, just doing that wash here. I work really quickly when I'm doing this because I don't want the way the watercolor dries. If I don't, make gradient it out with my brush, is it will dry really hard. So the edges of where the watercolor ends, from the dry to the wet, it will dry like with a really hard. It's really obvious. So I'm doing a lot of quick work here just to make sure everything is blended out nicely to create this nice vignette effect around the character on the triangle in the middle. And then I decided in the middle of the triangle it would be nice to have a pop of color, so I decided to go with red. This comic has a lot of red and pink and black, so you'll see that if once the comic is released. I'm going to be selling prints of these, or printed comics copies, at VanCaf, which is in May. It's the Vancouver Comic Arts Festival that is in May, and the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. I'll have print copies of this. I'll also be releasing the digital version to my members once it's done, so they can have a digital copy and read it all through there. You can also read it for $2, or yeah, $2. That's the first tier in my member subscription. You can read it for $2 once it's done. But you can also purchase a copy eventually in my store. I'll have it up for sale, so you can get a copy of it. I am not decided yet on whether or not I'm going to be releasing it for free. Until I usually release a lot of my comics for free later, but I'm not sure what the timeline is on that. I'll probably release it next year, probably, because I just want to be able to, have it behind something before I release anything for free because of all the work I did on it. So, but yeah, you can get print copies at TCAF and VanCaf and have it and order it in my store. Eventually it will be up there, but if you want to read it, digitally, it's going to be $2. So you can do that as well. I'll leave links down below to my member sign up page so you can read more about what I offer. And yeah, and I'll also be sending it to my members in my Art Pal Club. So if you want to be an Art Pal Club, eventually I'll have this in one of the, rewards, because I have different rewards every month. But yeah, that's my spiel on that. So I'm doing another wash for the front cover, and this I knew that I was going to put the character off center in the cover. She wasn't going to be center because I needed space for the text. So I was trying to think about how to do the wash here. But in the end, it didn't really matter because I was able to edit it on Photoshop as much as I could. And yeah, I just was mindful of the edges because I wanted the cover to bleed. I didn't want to have a white border around the cover. So I just made sure to kind of extend the edges so I have enough leeway when I'm cutting up this comic. But yeah, now we are into the speed paint process of this. So I'm just using my regular old Photoshop CS5 into putting the covers together, and as you saw the Not Dragon illustration, I'm actually taking a duplicate of the filters I used for that, so I don't have to kind of create the filters again myself to edit the colors. And I used the base of my older comic Dental Plan because that's the size of what the comic's going to be. So I just used that as a base to for the sizing of the covers, and that's what I'm doing. I edited the covers as a wrap first, and then afterwards I edited them individually so I can put as much effort into one page as the other. So I have I have 3 files total. I have the wrap cover where they're both together, and that's why you see the front image on the right side, because it'll be folded. And so I have 3 files. I have the wrap cover, I have the front cover individually, I have the back cover individually, but I'm editing them together so I can kind of create a seamless wrap cover. And I also wanted to make sure that the colors are kind of consistent, because since I painted these separately, the colors are just not going to be the same. I don't have a big enough, sheet to do the covers in one watercolor page, so I just had to do them separately, and I had to edit it myself on Photoshop. And this is me going through different ideas for text. And what I decided to do is I just decided to kind of use the lasso tool to trace the serif font to create a more kind of organic look, I guess, so it's less sharp. So that's what I did. I just traced in the individual letters and filled it in with white. And that's pretty much it. I did the same for my name and for the date in the back. I like putting the date in the back, or the year of when this comic was created in my comics. And I tried to add a vignette effect on this, but it wasn't too obvious. I did end up having a little bit of it at the end, but not too much. So yeah, I'm just playing around with the different filters I could use and what it looks like. I added a little bit of noise, but I didn't end up doing that. And I scanned the pages at 350 dpi, which is quite a bit. So when I was working on this, my computer was lagging because this computer is pretty old. So, but it worked. It kept going. But yeah, I scanned it at 350 dpi just in case I need it for the future. I usually scan at 300 dpi, but I thought 350 would be a little bit more, safety net, more of a safety net. Yeah. So this is me. The blue borders on the side is just where the actual page is gonna cut. So as you saw, I extended it beyond those blue borders so I can have a bleed. Yeah, I'm just using a lot of the what's that called? I used a lot of the clone stamp tool and a lot of like the healer brush. So the healer brush can just get rid of like dust particles that was scanned in, so I just used that. And I used the clone stamp tool to kind of clone certain parts of the page so I can extend it and cover certain white spots up. And that's pretty much it. I will show you the page when I printed it out on my Epson Artisan printer, and hopefully we'll get the interior pages done so this can be a final comic. The other thing I did though, which you won't see in the recordings of the pages printed out, is I actually made the images a little bit smaller because I found them too big and too close to the edges, especially the front cover with the full body figure. She was just too close to the edge, like her feet and the plate on top. So I just made it a little bit smaller, like 10% smaller, so it's more central to the page and less likely to be cut. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I will leave you guys for this real-time process Q&A video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, let me know, and I'll probably make more of these if you really like them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you watched to the end, and if you left any questions, thank you so much. If you have any other questions you'd like for the next Q&A video, if I do it, just leave them in that community post, either linked below or coming up soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate your viewership, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you guys so much. Bye.